September 1939. Poland stands on the edge of catastrophe. The German Wehrmacht sweeps across the countryside with its modern tanks and mechanized divisions, crushing opposition with terrifying speed. Cities fall, towns burn, and armies retreat. The world watches in disbelief as Poland faces the storm of the Blitzkrieg. Yet, in the quiet forest near Warsaw, history waits to be written, not with numbers or overwhelming firepower, but with courage, cunning, and determination. A young cadet, only 21 years old, commands a tiny, almost laughably small tankette, the TKS. 2 men, 1 machine, armed with a 20mm autocannon, the lightest weapon capable of challenging the German steel tide. This is not a tale of overwhelming forces or strategic brilliance on a grand scale. It is the story of a single act of bravery, a bold ambush executed in silence, where ingenuity and courage overcome size, firepower, and expectation. Here, in the shadow of mighty Panzers, a small Polish tankette prepares to strike fear into the hearts of the invaders. This is the story of Edmund Roman Orlik, a man and a machine that history would come to remember as the Cockroach. Poland's armored forces in 1939 were modest but determined. While the German Panzerwaffe fielded hundreds of modern tanks, the Panzer IIs, IIIs, and IVs, the backbone of Poland's defense relied on light tanks and tankettes. Among these, the TKS was a nimble, low-profile vehicle, primarily designed for reconnaissance. It was lightly armored and lightly armed, often equipped only with machine guns, incapable of taking on heavier tanks in direct combat. Only a small fraction of these TKS tankettes were upgraded with 20mm autocannons. Orlik commanded one of these rare vehicles, capable of punching through the thin side armor of lighter German tanks. Alongside him was his crew, ready to confront an enemy that vastly outnumbered and outgunned them. The geopolitical context cannot be understated. The German invasion had begun on September 1st, and Polish forces were already in retreat. Communications were fragmented, units were scattered, and morale, while resolute, faced the daunting reality of facing modern mechanized warfare with comparatively primitive vehicles. Yet Polish soldiers were trained, disciplined, and familiar with their homeland's terrain, an advantage they would exploit. On September 18th, Orlik's mission brought him to a forested crossroads near the village of Pociecha. The task was reconnaissance, to observe, report, and if possible, harass the advancing Germans. What he did not expect was that his small unit would find itself directly in the path of a German armored patrol. A bold decision would need to be made, one that would turn this young cadet and his tiny TKS into a legend in the annals of armored warfare. As the rumble of tank engines drew near, Orlik made a decisive call. His 2 supporting TK-3 tankettes, armed only with machine guns, were instructed to fall back. Alone, Orlik waited. His TKS, almost invisible among the forest undergrowth, became a predator lying in wait. The lead German tank emerged, a Panzer IV Ausf B, commanded by Lieutenant Victor von Ratibor, a young noble officer of the Wehrmacht. Behind it, 2 Panzer 35s followed. Orlik knew that any hesitation could be fatal, yet he also knew the strengths of his vehicle: speed, concealment, and most importantly, the 20mm autocannon capable of piercing the side armor of these lighter German tanks. When the Panzer IV entered the kill zone, Orlik fired a single, precise shot. The shell tore through the side of the turret, igniting internal ammunition and throwing the crew into chaos. Flames erupted, and the first German tank was disabled almost instantly. The Panzer 35s tried to engage. Their shells pounded the surrounding trees, narrowly missing the hidden tankette. Orlik waited, calculated, and opened fire again, striking the first 35 in its vulnerable flank. A massive explosion followed. The final 35 attempted to flee, but Orlik pursued relentlessly, delivering a precise volley that stopped the vehicle dead. The surviving crew surrendered. One German muttered, awestruck, "We would have hit you if you weren't in that damn Cockroach." Orlik's quick thinking and tactical brilliance had turned the tide of a small skirmish. 3 German tanks, destroyed in moments, were testimony to the power of ingenuity and courage over sheer size. From that day on, the name Cockroach would be forever associated with Orlik's TKS tankette, a symbol of audacity against overwhelming odds. After the ambush, Orlik approached the wrecked Panzer IV. Inside, he found Lieutenant von Ratibor, gravely wounded but alive. The Polish cadet and his crew pulled the German officer free, but despite their efforts, von Ratibor succumbed to his injuries. Orlik's actions did not end there. Over the coming days, he continued to harass the German advance. Reports credit him with destroying at least 7 more tanks during the retreat toward Warsaw. His tactical use of terrain, speed, and precision made him one of Poland's first recognized tank aces of the September campaign. The ambush at Pociecha was more than just a battlefield victory. It was a demonstration of what determination, skill, and courage could achieve, even when faced with overwhelming odds. Orlik and his TKS tankette became a legend, inspiring Polish forces and earning a place in military history. The Germans, both bewildered and frustrated, nicknamed these tiny vehicles Kakerlaken, Cockroaches. Orlik's crew embraced the name with pride, symbolizing resilience, stealth, and the unyielding spirit of Poland's defenders. In the broader context, Poland's army would eventually be overwhelmed and the nation occupied. Yet acts like Orlik's ambush preserved the honor and courage of the Polish forces, demonstrating that even the smallest weapons in the right hands could alter the course of a skirmish, if not a war. While Edmund Orlik's ambush at Pociecha was extraordinary, it was also a reflection of the broader spirit of the Polish army in 1939. Outnumbered, outgunned, and facing the might of one of the world's most advanced militaries, Polish soldiers relied on courage, ingenuity, and intimate knowledge of their homeland. Throughout the September campaign, small units of cavalry, infantry, and light armor engaged in daring maneuvers to slow the German advance. Ambushes, night raids, and quick strikes were common tactics employed by those who understood that survival depended not on matching firepower, but on outthinking the enemy. Orlik's success exemplified this mindset. The use of terrain, the element of surprise, and the careful application of limited firepower turned a tiny tankette into a formidable threat. Each ambush, each defensive action, no matter how small, contributed to delaying the enemy, protecting civilians, and maintaining the morale of Polish forces. Though Poland would ultimately be overwhelmed, the bravery displayed by young cadets like Orlik and countless unnamed soldiers became a symbol of national resilience. It was proof that even in the darkest hours, courage, strategy, and determination could make a difference, leaving a legacy that would inspire generations to come. Edmund Orlik survived the war, later becoming an architect in post-war Poland. He rarely spoke of the battle at Pociecha, yet the legend endured. Stories of the young cadet in his TKS tankette facing down the might of the German Panzer divisions passed from one generation to the next. The tiny TKS, nicknamed the Cockroach, became a symbol of Polish ingenuity and resilience. Its low profile, speed, and precision firepower had allowed a single crew to destroy 3 German tanks in a matter of minutes. In doing so, Orlik not only earned the respect of his allies, but the begrudging admiration of his enemies. Today, historians remember him as one of the first Polish tank aces. The battle is a reminder that courage is not measured by the size of your weapon, but by the will to use it with skill, audacity, and determination. In the quiet forest near Warsaw, the echoes of Orlik's TKS may have faded, but the story remains eternal. Against overwhelming odds, the Cockroach triumphed, and a young Polish cadet became a legend that will never be forgotten.